Post-Truth Apocalypse. I'm Ben. This week I'm hanging out with Mike.
Hello.
Claire.
Hey.
Pete.
Hello.
This week we're going to have an Anthology of the Strange. You haven't had one in a while.
No.
I thought it was time.
Yep.
In other words, I found a load of crap that wasn't crap. I found a load of stuff that I can't make into an episode.
Fair enough.
Four or five mini episodes, essentially.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yes, follow us on Facebook, Cutting to the Bull in the Post-Truth Apocalypse. YouTube is Apocalypse Bull, SoundCloud and Spotify, and all your other podcasting platforms. Cutting to the Bull in the PTA. And I suppose we better thank some new returning listeners, haven't we, before we start?
Yeah.
Berlin in Germany, Rheinfeld in Germany, a lot of German listeners. Rockledge in the US, Copenhagen in Denmark, Whitstable in the UK, Orangeburg, is that? I don't know the Dutch thing, but yeah, it's in the US. Brussels in Belgium, Santa Clara in the US, Ashburn in the US,
Hell.
Forest City in the US. I'm assuming that's an entire town
I'm
dedicated to Nottingham Forest.
Oh, I'd love that.
I'm saying fucking hell because we could see all different flags and they're like, it's just totally dominated by the US.
Just like the world.
Yeah.
Not for much longer.
Well, who knows? Forest City, Fort Worth, Prineville, Springfield in the US. Oh, that's it. That's the top of the list. I do apologise. I thought there's more. Thank you very much for listening. Obviously, tell a friend. Tell several friends. I don't care. So here's something I came across on Reddit. Not literally came across. That would be wrong.
Whatever floats your boat.
This doesn't. This does not float my boat.
No, it's quite terrifying, to be honest.
Gave me the fucking chills.
That'd be a really hard wank, to be fair. Cryptid spider.
Yeah.
I'd give it a go. I'd pull through.
Antarctica allegedly has a giant prehistoric cryptid spider.
Dum dum dum.
Yeah. Now, obviously, you know the whole conspiracy theory about why can't you go to Antarctica.
I was just going to mention that. I was like, that's why they're keeping us away.
Could be one of the reasons.
Because we're all just going to hike there tomorrow, aren't we?
No, it's all them Nazis.
The Nazis.
Nazis and UFOs.
Well, it could be that. It could be the giant ice wall. I don't know. I
Or-
haven't been.
All the celebrities that have died over the year, they just go and live there to escape everybody.
Or
Oh,
is
I
it
know.
because we know it's completely barren? If you go there, you will die. So we say, don't go there, please.
No, it's
No.
actually to protect the environment because it's a ecological.
Stop people eating penguins and shit.
Shitting on the ice.
I don't know if I could eat a penguin.
Oh, I could.
Oh, I could.
Well, that's their excuse anyway. Maybe it is.
I've had
this.
4 in a row before and
Like the
almost chucked
chocolate
up.
bars.
Pick up a penguin.
Well, yeah, if they grated some puffin over it, I suppose I'll get alright. Now, in February 2021, an image surfaced on a Google Earth thread that appears to show a massive insect or spider-like creature on the frozen rocky ice sheets of Antarctica.
Do we have this image?
I believe it's in the article somewhere. Or not. It was on Reddit, I know that much. Well, alright, the picture is less than just conclusive. I will give you that.
It looks like a cave or a rock formation that just maybe has melted off, or I don't know.
Well, we have testimony, alleged testimony.
So it was moving.
Well, the Reddit user who claimed their father was stationed at a base in Antarctica in the 90s responded with, let's say, wild stories that there are strict restriction zones all over the southern pole. The user's father, who was reportedly the only doctor at the base, revealed he had to perform pathology on deceased individuals and discovered that a significant number of deaths appeared to be caused by attacks from unknown creatures, and allegedly the doctor was ordered to report the cause of death as hypothermia.
It's just thing. That's all it is. It's thing.
The thing.
I think
The thing. Yeah.
I think you'd notice the difference between a hypothermia victim and one that's been.
Ripped apart by
Yeah.
a giant spider.
I'm thinking, what's that film? Where they fight giant spiders in space.
Starship Troopers.
That's it.
They all
Bit
just
of a
died,
different-
no, they all just died of hypothermia.
So,
Well,
man,
their limbs have been ripped off.
yeah, he's got these giant puncture wounds in his face.
It was the flu.
Appendicitis.
Well, that's why his guts are spilled out all over the place.
Yeah, his appendix burst.
Ah.
Actually, there's a Starship Troopers game coming out on the PS5 and Xbox, and I'm so buying that.
Sounds like a Helldivers rip-off to me.
It so is. It so
Which is weird, because Helldivers is a rip-off of Starship Troopers.
Yes.
They've literally jumped on the bandwagon, haven't they?
Hey mate, Casper Van Dien's doing the voice in it. I'm happy.
Just as long as it's good, I don't give a fuck.
This is General Rico. You work for me now, Trooper. Like, yeah, you got me. Take my money. Take it.
Slight segue there. Sorry, listeners.
Yeah. I live out my Starship Trooper fantasies on Helldivers anyway.
Don't we all?
Yeah. Something very satisfying about firing a heavy machine gun into a swarm of bugs.
Yes.
We should be doing it in real life soon.
Could be. Send me to Antarctica.
But it could just... I don't know. What's it eating and what's it living on?
Well, I don't know. We'll find out. I don't know. I honestly don't know. The Reddit user's father referred to these creatures as striders and described them as giant spiders the size of greyhound dogs with 5 spindly
They're not
legs.
spiders, are they?
Well, that's what I know.
It's the size of a greyhound, right?
That's quite big.
Go back to that photo.
You wouldn't be able to see that.
That's a lot bigger than a fucking greyhound. That's like elephant, if not...
It's not an elephant.
No, that's
Well, it
elephant
will be.
size.
That's like
Or I'm thinking the size. You look at the background, look at the photo, look at the way it's angled. Chances are that's the size of a house.
Yeah.
Whereas,
No.
yeah, to be
Look how far it is
to be
away. We're
picked
looking
up
at
on
perspective
something like that.
here.
Because if that was close and that was that good, that would be a fucking perfect image. If that was close enough and it was the size of a greyhound, that would be a perfect image. That's a fucking massive zoom lens on something that's taken an image that's miles and miles and miles away.
That's pretty good.
That's the size of the house.
That's pretty just the webcam they've got on a pole.
Mate, webcams are fucking 4K nowadays. Sorry, there's no excuse for that. If you get, this is what pissed me off about fucking Sasquatch photos. There's no excuse anymore. Nobody has a phone less than like 50 meg nowadays. Pretty much anybody who's got a phone that's less than 2 years old, you got 50 meg fucking megapixel camera on there. You ain't getting such grainy shots. It's something like that. You're not just taking one fucking photo either. You're taking 100. You're making sure you get...
I'm gonna run away from the fucking thing. I'm always up there taking pictures like a
I'd
Japanese
be running
tourist.
towards the thing, throwing rocks.
Rocks?
Yeah, why?
I'd have
Try and get it to fucking move.
I'd have my bastard shotgun out, because if I'm in the Antarctic, I've got a shotgun just in case of polar bears.
That's
Yeah,
true,
I'd
you
be
would have a
tooled up,
shotgun.
No polar bears.
And I don't-
in
I want-
Antarctic.
Well, you're having a shotgun in case
Sorry.
there's giant spiders then.
Yeah, the only thing, the biggest thing is the emperor penguin, isn't it?
It can be fucking big.
Well,
That's what this thing must be eating.
They're eating penguins, yeah.
Don't you think David Attenborough would have caught it on film by now?
So they like chocolate.
So-
You
cover
come
up
across
like-
decimated penguin fucking
cover up
colonies, there's blood everywhere.
They don't
Red,
take
red
them.
wrappers all over the place, remnants of biscuit and chocolate.
You know, apparently a penguin chocolate bar is just a bourbon biscuit covered in chocolate.
Oh yeah.
It's quite sad, really. Not as sad as penguins getting torn apart by giant spiders the size of greyhounds, though.
I'm just imagining David Attenborough, narrating this shit.
And here we are, the emperor penguin. Oh, what the fuck is that?
Well, they're not going to take him there, are they? This is in the restricted area.
Ah, right.
He's got all access, David Attenborough.
It's David Attenborough we're talking about. Come on, he's been on this earth nearly a century. He's got fucking rights to go anywhere he wants.
Well, I don't think that works like that.
No,
and
you're
he's
probably
David
right.
Attenborough. He's been down, deep in the ocean where there's still life.
There's loads of life in the ocean.
I know, yeah.
He said there's still life.
Where there's... I know at the very bottom of the Mariana Trench, it's a bit...
You haven't been down there.
I know, yeah, but it's a bit lifeless down there, isn't it? It's not teeming, is it?
Well, I bet there's loads of stuff down there we don't know.
But David Attenborough's pretty deep, so I should imagine he could go anywhere in the
Yes,
world.
he wasn't on Ocean View or Ocean Quest, was he?
No.
He's not lining one of them up, I hope. He claimed that these large apex predators were discovered in the ice and were somehow reanimated when they turned on the team and escaped.
It is the thing.
And they're said to be living in the restricted no-go zones of Antarctica.
See, this is what, when I was looking at this, all I was thinking of was the film, The Thing. This dude, it was telling the stories to his fucking son or whatever it was, or his uncle, or what was it, his uncle or his dad? Or
His dad was there as a doctor.
That's
yeah.
right. So when his dad watched The Thing, clearly, and he was like, I'm going to wind me son up.
I don't know if I'd watch The Thing if I was stationed in Antarctica.
I watch it on loop.
I'd have it on the CCTV camera just in case, like, just so people think that that's actually happening. Like, no, what the fuck? No!
God, that is a fucking creepy ass film.
Brilliant, isn't
The
it?
remake was shite, though.
I didn't even know they remade it.
The second remake.
Well, the sequel. The sequel,
Was it a
not
sequel?
the remake. It was a sequel.
Never watched it.
No, it was a prequel.
The original was in the 50s.
Yeah. Oh, I'm talking Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Kurt Russell. It was the good one. Then
Carpenter.
they did the sequel, which was a prequel, because it ended
Yeah,
with
the 80s
the wolf.
one is fucking amazing.
Yeah, but the early 2000 one they did.
I didn't even know they'd done that.
Got to be one of the best horror films, in my opinion. The Thing.
But yeah, this just fucking oozes the Thing, doesn't it? This story.
Apparently we can debunk this,
No shit.
No.
which I'm kind of sad about in a way,
Bit
but also
disappointed.
not that sad. For starters, there's a maximum cap on the size insects or spiders
Well,
can
they're
attain.
Technically spiders. But go on.
No. It was previously believed this was due to the physical weight of exoskeletons being unable to support themselves under gravity, although studies on the subject now indicate it may actually be due to how insects breathe. They absorb oxygen differently than humans, using a series of holes along their body. Scientists now believe this explains how prehistoric insects are able to achieve much larger sizes, as this form of breathing would only be able to sustain larger sizes if the oxygen levels of the atmosphere were significantly higher, as it is believed they were during the times of the dinosaurs.
Well, wouldn't that support it being like frozen in the ice and coming out as well? Though that's
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be able to breathe or hold itself up. And
Oh
it would
yeah, so
die.
it'd be like, "Bleh, I melted.
How pure is the air down in Antarctica?
Well, it's mixed around
Same
the whole
everywhere,
of the earth,
isn't
isn't
it?
it? I suppose.
Anywhere you go on the Earth, it's 79% nitrogen, 20% oxygen, 21% is it?
I'm not sure.
And 1% the rest.
Well, okay then, so the chances are these things can't survive down there.
Probably not.
Unless, of course, they've got some hack.
They might be able to, who knows, but I think it's all bollocks anyway myself. But
Size of a greyhound dog, man, that's that's a big ass spider. Wouldn't want to see one of them trying to scuttle through my fucking window.
That picture, because of the perspective, it was got to be the size of a elephant at the very least. It's just bullshit. I'm not feeling this one at all.
Well, so it could be that there's reptilian humanoids, giant spiders, alien government military bases, Nazis, entrances to the hollow earth, UFOs. Or it could be the giant spiders. The reason.
yeah, or it could just
There you
be environmental protection and the fact that it's dangerous as fuck.
Giant spiders, Mike.
Maybe.
Right, well, either way, I couldn't have got an episode out of it, but it's weird.
Yeah.
If it's real, it's scary as fuck. I'm never going anywhere near the Antarctic, whether they let me or not. I'm not even going to try. I don't even want to know.
Yeah.
What would happen if you went and you're like, hey, I'm here, and they... what the
You
fuck
get killed on sight, maybe?
They're just going to go, well, turn around and fuck off then.
But it's quite a big place.
There's not very many insects down there, is there though? Because it's just so fucking cold.
Of
Well,
course.
I'd imagine.
There's no life, is it?
I would like to chill with some penguins.
Microbial, that's it.
Yeah, just on that basis alone, that David Attenborough hasn't done like the life of insects
In
down there
Antarctica.
in Antarctica.
I'd like to chill with penguins.
Well, that's all that's there, really.
I'd like to hang around with some penguins. I'd imagine they'd be quite fun.
Stink in it.
Yeah, it's gonna
Oh,
reek,
they would
mate.
stink, wouldn't they?
That's right, because Antarctica's south, isn't it? Polar bears
Fishy.
are north, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Fishy,
So, yeah.
freezing cold.
They would only have penguins to eat, wouldn't they?
Pretty much.
So is
Maybe
this
seals.
is this how then penguins haven't overrun the world? Because other than these giant spiders, they don't have many natural predators out
Seals.
there in the Antarctic.
Seals.
Alright, why aren't
They
we
catch
overrun
them.
with seals then? Oh, because then the sharks get the seals.
Yeah.
But then, so there must be lots of things in the Antarctic then.
No, there's
Yeah, in the sea.
penguins are ate by sharks as well. They go
Oh, I
and hunt in
know.
the sea.
I know, I was kind of being satirical and trying to be a little bit funny with it, but everyone
You
just
were.
went all fucking full on. No.
No, sorry.
Hey, I was just more concerned that penguins stink.
Do they?
Of course they will.
They'll stink of fish and shit, wouldn't they?
The way they all huddle up together as well
Yeah.
to keep warm, yeah.
Yeah.
One poos and it's like spreads over
They're all
4 or
rolling in
5
it.
of them. Yeah.
It's good to see him at the zoo like everyone else.
I'd like to see them in their natural habitat.
Well, it's kind of natural-ish.
Not really, it's man-made.
It certainly ain't snowy. It's just painted white fucking rock. Oh look, it's snowy.
It's on your knee.
I'm sure they can't tell the difference.
It wasn't. I don't think it was. It was
No, it wasn't, it was a leaf.
Was it? That's
Yeah.
what was on your head before. I was like, it's on his knee. Sorry.
So should have said there's the spider. There's the
Well,
spider!
you hit it like it was a spider.
He would have had the same response.
Just in case it was a spider,
Yep.
it was getting it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Move on, shall we?
I think I've heard of this one. The amazing case of Sergei Ponomarenko, a time traveller in Kiev. I have heard.
I've heard
We
of
haven't
this
done
one.
this, have we?
We haven't done it, but I've heard of it. I think I watched a YouTube video on it. In 2006, a man named Sergei Ponomarenko was wandering lost in Kiev, Ukraine. He was wearing he wasn't wearing a strange dress. He was wearing strange dress. He wasn't in a dress. And
He's
had
wearing strange clothes, basically.
yeah, and had a camera in his hand as if he were a tourist. He claimed that he'd come from the past. He left his house to take some photos and he observed a UFO. And while photographing it, suddenly found himself in the future, which I would say is a bit of a shitter.
Is it?
Yeah, everyone you know's dead.
Eh. Yeah, I know what you're saying, yeah.
You can live with that.
And you're out of style. Your fashion
Well, I've
is.
always been out of style, so
Yeah,
no
but
difference there.
He might have been quite in fashion in 1960, and then all of a sudden he's completely out of fashion. It's a nightmare. It's a complete faux pas.
But that can be solved with a quick pop to
I'd
top
love to
shop
see what's
or-
happened 46
next.
years in the future, though, wouldn't you?
Well, I
there, are,
guess.
there is time, you know, people do say about, like, you know, losing time, don't they, when they've encountered aliens and stuff, but this is a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot
A
of
few
time.
hours, not a few
I
decades
know, yeah,
normally.
it's going extreme.
That's not just losing time. That's literally time travelling because he's been suspended
Yeah.
in his state.
Yeah, because he'd be like 80, wouldn't he? He'd just wake up and he's like, oh, I've lost 46 years of my life. It just crumbles to dust.
It's just how long it's taken them to take him where they've gone in our time. They've obviously travelled light speed somewhere,
Yeah.
done what they're doing with him, travelled back in
Time
beyond
dilation,
light
yeah.
speed kind of thing.
I just bet he's happy the USSR's fallen.
Well, yeah, he'd be well chuffed at that, wouldn't
Yeah.
he? Until
wouldn't-
nearly 20 years time when he's like, oh shit, it's just as fucking bad as it was.
An extraordinary case of documents and photographs, in addition to the analysis of the psychologist Paolo Kutrikov and the expert in photographic development Vadim Posner. Research indicates that somehow he had travelled from the past, jumping into the future half a century, possibly by the presence of the UFO. In Russia, the telecanal 1+1, I presume that's a TV channel, presented the video of the case of Sergei Ponomarenko in the documentary The Time Traveller, where it is reported that on April 23rd, 2006, a 25-year-old disorientated man was walking aimlessly with a camera in his hand in the streets of Kiev, and two policemen asked him to identify himself.
In all fairness, that part of the world probably didn't change that much between those times in reality, and I don't mean that nastily, but when you think of like proper Western civilization, like Kiev, well, I suppose it is quite.
I think
It's up to date, but not as
Well,
up to date as if he was in London. Kind
I
of
was
thing.
in Poland in 2017, and despite the fact you had a lot of new sort of housing projects going up, and they were really trying to get away from the concrete grey that everything is made out of, there's still a lot of those Soviet era flats, blocks, just those grey tower blocks. So many of them.
that were put up in the 60s.
They were put up in the
And in this
50s and
country,
60s.
mate, a lot of grey, massive tower blocks.
Everything in Soviet countries is grey. It's all concrete. It's all simple and quick to
It
make.
was here in the 60s, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we don't have them anymore, or not many of them are about.
No, true. A lot of them have been demolished.
Well, this is what I mean. If you were in England and you went from the 60s to 2006, you would instantly be like, what the fuck?
Well,
Whereas
the
there's
first thing-
still been cars driving around that probably weren't from far off that era.
Not the buildings that you'd notice, it's the people, the dress, the cars,
Yeah.
That's the first thing you'd notice, isn't it? You're like,
Products, advertisements.
yeah, shops.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, be like,
People aren't queuing for bread for 6 hours anymore. You'd notice that. So 2 policemen asked him to identify himself, and he showed them legitimate official documents of the time of the Soviet Union of more than 50 years of antiquity, and obviously his name was Sergei Pomerenko. Now the cops treated him like he was insane. He was arrested and taken to a psychiatric clinic in Kiev. There, Dr. Pablo Kutrikov investigated Sergei. The consultation of April 26, 2006 was recorded.
Oh shit, yeah, of course, because it would have been part of USSR, wouldn't it, at that time?
Yeah.
Of course.
Mike, would you care to do Kutrikov, the doctor, and I will read Pomerenko?
no worries.
Is the sexy secretary there? Can I be her?
No.
No. Ah.
How about you tell me something about yourself?
My name is Sergei Pomerenko. I was born in the city of Kiev on June 16th, 1932.
Yes, but I would assure you that you are not older than 30 years.
I'm 25, I'll have you know. The doctor asked Sergei how it was he appeared in the year 2006, and then Sergei told him about how he was trying to take a picture of a UFO and somehow teleported to this place.
But can you remember how you appeared in our time?
It was daytime and I wanted to go for a walk in the city. I took my camera. When I left my house, I saw a strange object that had a bell shape, and it was very strange, and it was flying in a strange way. It's difficult to explain what I was seeing. It might be better to look at the photos from my camera, and then maybe we can... The answer, Dr. Kutrikov decided to reveal the photos, but there was a difficulty. The techniques of development for old cameras like that of Sergei were different from those used in the 21st century, so they had to look for an expert in photography. Vadim Poizner, who was surprisingly reviewed the roll that had not been manufactured since the 70s.
Well, that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was never possible to explain how that roll could be preserved in such good condition for more than half a century. But Poizner managed to reveal all the photographic roll that showed images of the city of Kiev of the decade of the 1950s.
I suppose the only way would be in a vacuum.
I wouldn't like to say. I mean, if it's kept in a tin in a dark room and in another tin in another box,
Maybe, yeah.
and you decide to say, oh, my granddad's old camera, I wonder if I can he's got a roll of film there, there's nothing on it, I wonder if it works.
If it was never taken out of its original tin or whatever it would have been sat in them days, well, it'd have been a little camera roll, like, similar to what we had when we were kids. It wasn't that far different, I don't think, back then. It would have still been like a little cartridge thing with the camera roll in it.
I'd have thought so, yeah.
I had a really old camera when I was a kid that was given to me, and yeah, it didn't have any cartridges, but I do remember the back end of it where you'd put it.
Yeah, you put the thing in, you pull the film out, don't you? Clip it into the reels.
It would have been very similar to that. It really would have. I think if I remember rightly, my dad even tried to get one. He found like one that kind of matched the size nearly, and we did try it, but it never worked. It didn't work. It was shagged.
The camera also held a photo of a woman about 25 years old and another image where Sergei Pomerenko was, even in the same outfit. The photograph that caught the most attention was where the UFO appeared in the form of a bell, as described by Sergei before developing the photographs. This interview was recorded at 10:39 a.m. on April 25th, 2006.
That isn't the bell. That isn't the only bell Nazi. Sorry, was it?
Where did you get Nazi from?
Nazi
Sure,
bell.
there was
The
a
Nazi
Nazi. Yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
She's absolutely spot
Let
on.
me just say that again
Yeah.
without fucking it all up. That isn't the only UFO that's been reported as a bell before. I'm sure there was the Nazi bell.
Yep, spot on. Which vanished at the end of World War II, never to be seen again. If you believe there was a Nazi bell. It's weird actually you've picked this with the bell-shaped UFO, because I nearly picked the Kecksburg incident. Whereas they think that may have been the Nazi bell that ended up in America in the 60s after zapping against
discussed
Nazi
that
Germany in
before,
45.
Sure, we discussed it.
I've mentioned it, but
Yeah.
we've never done a dive on it.
Never heard of the Nazi bell before. I feel like it's something I should have heard of.
Well, you've been doing this for 2 years. I thought you'd have picked up on it.
We've not mentioned it
No.
since I've been doing the podcast.
No, don't you just immerse yourself in random conspiracy bollocks like the rest of us? Well, that's what you're missing out on.
What do you think of the photo?
Doesn't look like a bell for a start.
No.
Looks like a hat.
Looks like a submarine.
It looks like a Star Destroyer in profile. I can see the...
Yeah.
There's the bridge. There's
It
that side of
really
shit.
does.
Yeah. Which is even more alarming in all fairness.
It's an alarming jizz, isn't it?
An alarming jizz, is that when it comes out black?
Well, been hanging around with Dave too much.
No, remember the jizz is the outline of
It
a
is.
bird.
Yeah.
Outline of a bird when you can only see it like the well, when you just see the outline of a bird.
Yeah.
It's dark.
So you don't know
And
what
they said
the
it on
bird is.
they said it on Nature Watch or whatever it was on BBC the other day because I was listening to the radio. And
Jizz!
Yeah, and she was like, and that's the jizz, like that. You know when they just take sort of things that are rude and say, oh, this has gone out on air, but she said it because she's
It's a technical term, yeah.
It is a technical term, yeah.
Like when you call a female dog a bitch.
Yes, Pete.
Mike?
Carry on with the interview then.
Yeah.
Here are the photos revealed. They are from your camera. I am especially interested in this photograph. Take a look, please.
So now you're convinced that I'm telling the truth. I so far do not understand what this object is and how something like that happened to me at the same moment when I took the picture. I went down to look at the camera and I showed up in this year. After talking to Dr. Krutikov, Sergei went to his room. The clinic security camera captured the moment when he entered the room, but he was never seen leaving and somehow disappeared.
Ooh.
The only way out was always watched. The window in the room had bars. It was impossible to escape. So they investigated and the police investigated Sergei. They confirmed that indeed during the era of the Soviet Union this man existed and that he was declared missing in 1960.
Ooh.
So it opens the possibility that a UFO has caused a man to travel in time towards the future. An extraordinary possibility at that moment is unknown to us all.
Oh, I'm behind this one. I'm feeling
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So do you think the aliens realise what
Oh,
they've done
fuck.
and thought, shit, we've put him back in the wrong time, hold on, we need to sort that out.
Yeah.
We were told we're not allowed to mess with the timelines.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
What if he changes something? What if he remembers the lottery numbers?
No, but
How could
if
he
he
remember?
was,
He's coming from the past, Pete.
if he was
Yeah,
taken,
He's been put into the future, so what if he remembers the lottery numbers?
how will he remember them?
Because he could be look at... He might think maybe he'll get back one day and he'll look at...
I've gone
He's
in.
literally been in the place a day or you know, if they get picked up by the police, looking, you
I
know,
suppose, yeah. He was,
on the same
How will
day.
he know what the lottery numbers are in the future? Then
How did he even know there was a fucking
because
lottery?
he was in the future. No, I'm not
He
saying
was taken
he
by
did...
the police to the mental
I know,
place.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. If he wanted to, he could be rich off it, couldn't he? He could have found some newspapers from that day and gone, oh, lottery winners from this week. I'll tell my grandchildren to do this on this day to put these numbers on the
He wouldn't have
lottery.
had
He can't
that.
communicate back in the past, though,
No,
can he?
and he
Yeah,
wouldn't
but
have
if
had
he's
that
getting
idea.
put back in the past...
Well, if he'd have been
by
put
the
back in the
aliens.
past, they'd have a record of him dying.
But what happened to him, though?
Well, this is it.
Well, maybe they
He
were
was
like,
declared
fuck.
missing, that was it.
Well,
So they
maybe
just zapped him back up and
They were
took
like,
him.
fuck, we can't leave it yet.
So, like you said, if they zapped him up, took him away, place far, far away, and then come back, the time dilation, he wouldn't have aged, but the Earth, everyone on Earth would have.
Maybe they sent him further into the future. Maybe his next leap is always he always wants to be his next leap.
Well,
Next
I
leap.
just think they snuffed him out because of what I was saying. Because it's too much of a risk to put him back in the past. Because he's been to the future, he could give information. So
But if he'd
they
gone back to the
snuffed him
past, then he
out.
wouldn't have been reported as missing.
Exactly.
That's a good point. So obviously they just snuffed him out.
They
Maybe.
just took him back in the spaceship, and the spaceship kicked him out the airlock.
Maybe they took him back, and then in 46 years' time, after this date, he'll reappear.
Well, they knew too much, didn't he? He knew too much. They took him back. They fucked up. Didn't put him back in his right place. I thought, well, he knows too much. Let's kill him.
No, I think I'm going to go with the happy ending. They take him off with them, and he lives in an alien planet now. And
Death by snoo.
lived happily ever after.
Yeah, like that exchange program we had.
Project Serpo.
That's it.
The
What's a
other
load of
option-
bollocks.
The other option is that he's actually. I mean,
How trustworthy are these sources?
that's I'm sure that InfinityExplorers.com is a bastion of journalistic integrity.
Could just be an internet story, couldn't it?
Yeah,
It
but
could.
surely that they've got.
We haven't got professional researchers to research this
If
shit.
you went to the mental health hospital and the doctor is saying, "Well, I met this man," and then next thing he's a doctor. He's not gonna.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to say it could all be fake.
Could all be fake.
Could be an AI generated story for all we know.
Could be.
No, I've heard this. This has been knocking around for quite a while.
It's like that time traveller that had that passport from that country that didn't exist.
That's right.
In Japan, that was all bollocks, wasn't it?
Let's say that this chap existed. Let's say that, maybe he was really into forging old Soviet Union documents, which, maybe he's a counterfeiter. Wouldn't be that hard to forge a Soviet ID.
Yeah, but you change your story once you're in a mental asylum. They put you in there. You're like, hold on, man, I was just joking. It's all.
But
all
also,
a scam.
what was his gain?
Mentally ill.
But what's his gain in this to then disappear? And what's he gaining from doing this?
I think what you have to look at is the fact that they've got no death record for him. He's still not alive. All they know is that he vanished in 1960.
And then again in 2006.
And then again in 2006. I don't know, it's hard to say, innit? I mean...
I reckon he'll be...
Back in 46 years, like you said, yeah. Every 46 years he just gets plumbed down into earth for like a couple of days. He just lives the rest of his life out, like, randomly having like 3 days in 46 years in the future every time.
Well, at the 80th time, he just like, kill me.
I've only aged fucking 3 years. And 6,000 have passed.
The Earth's just a ball of flaming rock. Well, it's an interesting one.
Yeah. I can't see him getting out of a secure unit as well, without being, detected.
Yeah.
Well, Jeffrey Epstein.
I was about to mention Jeffrey Epstein and use him as an example of that.
His murderer managed it.
Yeah, that's true enough.
He didn't kill himself.
What a day that was when the entire internet came together, right, left, centre, and all stood up in one voice and shouted,
Bollocks!
Bollocks. United the internet for a day.
It did.
Mm-hmm.
Along with that hot tur girl.
Oh,
she united the internet for at least a day.
No, because there's people still find it funny. It's divided it again.
Oh, I saw some lads when I was at the pub watching the football the other day walk past the barmaid and one went hook to like that, and she went, I beg your pardon, what? And he went hook to like that, and then she was like, what? When they went walking off, and I heard his mate go, she's not the one for you, mate.
Right, next one then. I put this in because we've mentioned it loads and we've never actually talked about it properly. Stone tape theory. I've been listening to a lot of ghost stories recently.
Alright.
Have you ever listened to the Uncanny podcast?
No.
That's worth a listen. I've been listening to that and there's a few others, but they mentioned stone tape theory a lot and I know that we spoke about it, so I thought, you know what, let's have a dive into that. It's a popular concept often explored in the realm of paranormal activity, suggesting that ghosts and hauntings are akin to recorded tape of past events. The theory suggests that strong emotional or traumatic experiences are captured as energy imprints on rocks and other objects, which can be replayed under certain conditions. This idea has been embraced in ghost hunting and paranormal investigations as a possible explanation for residual hauntings, and I do actually quite like it. I'm not saying it's real, but I like it.
Okay.
As an explanation. So, the stone tape theory is a speculative idea proposing that ghosts and hauntings are, how the fuck do I say that, analogous? They're the same as tape recordings!
Yeah.
According to this theory, mental impressions of emotional or traumatic events can be projected as energy, recorded onto rocks and other materials, and then replayed under certain conditions. The fascinating notion has its roots in the 19th century intellectualist and psychic perspectives, where the belief in the existence of residual hauntings and memory-based supernatural phenomena was prevalent. So, while there are no definite key contributors to the stone tape theory, the idea is often linked to the 19th century. Moreover, specific individuals have been instrumental in popularising the theory in modern times. For instance, paranormal investigator Thomas Charles Lethbridge is often associated with the stone tape theory. He was a British archaeologist, psychic researcher and prolific writer who published several books exploring various paranormal phenomena. His ideas and work helped shape the modern perception of the theory. Nigel Neal, I'm going to guess the K is silent on that one. A British screenwriter best known for his work on various science fiction and horror television series and films, gained popularity with the stone tape theory through his 1972 television play. So, it suggests that ghosts and hauntings are similar to tape recordings, where mental impressions created during emotional or traumatic events can be projected in the form of energy and recorded onto rocks and other items.
I don't understand that.
Right, you know when in films where they say, you know, touch an item and then they sort of have flashbacks of...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been depicted on quite a few
Yeah,
films,
yeah.
hasn't it?
I just don't understand the scientific reason.
Don't try and think about it too much.
Emotional events, emotions are what occur inside your body. Are caused by chemicals in your body, is it? Released and
who's to say
interacting with your brain or whatever.
Who's to say that stone doesn't live in some sense anyway? Like, because it is matter, it is material, it does grow.
It accumulates, doesn't it?
Yeah, but does it have some form of life to itself in a weird way? Maybe made up by all the bacteria that lives within it, or something, all the tiny little microbes that would... You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Who knows?
What
It's
happens
theory,
in us,
isn't
doesn't
it?
it?
It's a theory.
Yeah.
It's
I think
trying to explain how it records it. Who knows?
Some people think that we're just vehicles for the bacteria and are good to live.
What I think also they're trying to say is that these events are so emotional and traumatic that, and you've got to believe in psychic awareness for this part, which I know I don't, and neither do you, but it's so traumatic that somehow that raw emotion is imprinted onto its surroundings.
Yeah, but how can it? Emotion, it happens in your brain, it happens in your body.
I don't know, I'm just saying what this is.
I know, I'm trying to...
But there's lots of proposals that the brain is a lot more powerful than we have the ability to control it to, if that makes sense.
It's like an aura, you can't see it.
But it's there, and like the psychic side and the telekinetic side of the brain potentially that's there that we can't use. Again, all theory, but is that part of that theory that because it's such an emotional thing, like a death, like a murder, anything like that can bring such an emotional discharge of emotion that it almost fills and spreads out to whatever and sticks to whatever's surrounding it. Obviously, if it's an old fucking castle,
Emotional ejaculate.
yeah, an emotional ejaculation.
Well,
I like
and if-
that one.
So, say we were going to emotionally ejaculate over this ashtray now, Pete.
It's different though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Glass.
Yeah, I know.
It's gonna
Glass,
bounce
rock,
off glass.
pillar.
Oh, is it?
Well, at least the very most just dribbled out.
It says,
Yeah.
What's the difference between the rocks and the glass?
it says rocks,
Rock's
or
porous.
any other object. It says any
I
object.
know, I was just joking.
Right, so you put your emotional jizz on this and then...
You strike me over the head with it and kill me, basically. And my emotional jizz is all over that.
Right, we'll test this out now, people.
Right, Claire, hit him with that ashtray.
Ah!
Hit him harder. He's not dead.
Ah!
Oh, that's pathetic.
Terrible acting. No, what happened if like you sort of like went, oh, I love this ashtray and had your emotional jizz about just loving the ashtray, and then if I jizzed on top of yours jizz, whose jizz would be the
Whoever's is the most traumatic and psychically strong, I
Right,
guess.
okay.
But this does fall down. Because, I mean, this is partially used to explain, like, you know when you see a ghost, when you see a ghost, I've never seen a ghost in my life. People see ghosts at old buildings, don't they? Mm-hmm. And sometimes they're like, won't be complete spectres.
You only see half.
You might only see half of them, or their legs are missing.
Yeah.
Or so, and the theory is that's because the floor was lower at the time.
Yeah, so
The-
the only memory is of what
The only
that bit.
So if the floor wasn't there where it is now, you'd see all of it.
Is that why they carry their heads in their arms, because it was shorter?
That's just the headless horseman.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, he's unique at that one.
And I do get it, and I like it as a theory. I don't think it's very accurate, but I do like it as a possible explanation, because we don't know at the end of the day.
It's almost
Do we?
it's
No.
more of a scientific theory to ghosts than spirits, isn't it? It's a different theory that's not spirits at all. It's just a tape recording that revolves around of captured. So it's like it's a scientific thing. It's a chemical thing as opposed to spiritual.
But then I would argue as well that, okay, so if it's by trauma and psychological suffering or heightened emotion or whatever, where's the concentration camp victim ghosts?
Yeah.
Why isn't every battlefield just full of ghosts?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, some say they are.
Well, yeah, but there's been some cases, I mean, but not every haunted battlefield. Where's the caveman ghosts?
No, I know exactly what you mean. Why isn't the world just overrun with ghosts? Because obviously there's as many people alive now as died in the past. I believe
And
that
probably,
was like a fact I heard not that long ago.
And probably most of them, Pete, would be Chinese.
So there would be a lot of Chinamen running around, like ghosty running through you and shit. But I suppose if you were one, it's a tough one, isn't it? But is there a time limit on a ghost? Because
You're there for eternity, surely.
but then then the question is, why aren't we just completely overrun with spirits all the time? But like I
maybe
said,
Because they're
maybe
see-through.
eventually this
Energy fades.
dissipates.
yeah.
Say 400 years or something. That's why you never see ghosts before 1600.
Maybe.
That's a valid point, because it's always some dude in a ruff, isn't it? Or girl in a ruff.
Never anything before that, is it? Usually. And maybe monks and stuff in the
Monks and stuff.
12th
Obviously,
century or something.
some medieval battlefields.
That's really
are
as far as it
considered
goes,
haunted, but
isn't
yeah,
it?
Maybe
yeah.
we don't see them from that far back
don't see
because
ghost
there isn't
Vikings and things,
but
yeah.
there isn't anything left from that far back.
Ghost Romans.
That's why we don't see them.
Right, so it's all
Do you
been
know
destroyed.
what I mean? And that's why, say you go to Little Shore Abbey, a 1200-year-old
Yeah, okay.
thing,
Could be that.
there is still remnants of that because those walls are that old.
Yeah.
So maybe that's
There's not many
why.
Viking longhouses still standing, is there?
No,
you don't see
no.
many Viking ghosts either, do you?
Where are the Viking ghosts? Because they'd be fun.
In Norway somewhere, maybe?
We all had a few
Up
of
the
them.
fjords?
I remember this one tale of a woman who owned a pub in York who was in the cellar the one day and was... Obviously York's like really Roman, isn't it?
Very much so.
And then Viking, but Roman before that.
Yeah,
And this is
very-
a very old pub.
Tight, narrow, little rabbit warrens everywhere. With
Yeah. And she said that she was shocked and horrified that a sort of cohort of Roman legionaries marched through one wall and through the other. And after research, it was shown, oh, hang on, the pub's actually built over the top of an old Roman road. But how often is that going to happen? Is it a daily occurrence? Could I go down there at 11 o'clock at closing time and see some more spirits? That's a pun.
But is it something that kind of happens on
Or is it just...
the repeat the
On a-
day each
yeah, is
time? Like that particular day, maybe? That time of the year or whatever?
This
Maybe
is it.
that's when it happens.
Maybe they only, they can only be seen for a certain amount of time on that day,
Have I got to be psychic to a point? Have I got to have some kind of gift?
This is
Or
the other
belief.
thing.
Or belief?
Is it that some people can see because they just have that little bit of their brain that's wired slightly different that allows them to see it,
Yeah.
and then everybody else can't because our brains are wired to the norm. I'm putting in quotation marks. There is no normal. We're all normal in our own way, but you know what I mean. They're just people that can see ghosts are slightly wired different, and it just allows them to see it. It's the only explanation. Either that, or there's a lot of people that are just fucking nuts.
Mentally ill, no, maybe. My favourite one is the screaming woman at Hampton Court. And it's believed to be Catherine Howard, who had her head cut off by Henry VIII fairly soon after he married her. I think she might have been plotting something, I can't remember. But either way, and she's meant to be seen running up the hallway to where the throne room would have been, and just screaming, and then goes to bang on the door and vanishes, and apparently that was what she did. She was the night before her execution. She managed to give her guards a slip and run screaming down the hallway to bang on the door to Henry's throne room. People still see that occasionally, or people have seen it, which I like. I like that one actually as a ghost sighting. I think it's quite fun. Now that's the kind of thing that stone tape theory would work for me on, that kind of level. You know, she's running down a hallway screaming to plead for her life.
It's just replaying that traumatic moment that the energy was there.
But then where's the concentration camp ghosts?
Yeah, I know, yeah. Was it because there isn't anything fucking left of most of the concentration camps? And there's
They'd
no
still
walls.
be around that area, though.
Yeah, but
wouldn't
there's
they?
no
Just-
walls to capture
There's
anything.
been, I mean,
They're still there,
They're
mate.
still there.
Go and see
Some,
'em.
I know some are like been made into museums, haven't they?
Auschwitz
essentially?
should be fucking haunted to fuck.
It should
But
be,
is
right,
it?
yeah.
Is it? It probably fucking is.
No one's reporting it then.
Aren't they?
I mean,
Everyone-
Have you looked into it though?
I
Have
haven't
researched
looked into it, but I've just never sort of...
Anyone tell me
I've
how
never
to spell
seen-
Auschwitz?
I do watch a load of fucking videos on random shit,
Yeah,
and that has
yeah.
never come up in my... I could be wrong, maybe people do report it, but I thought it would be more publicised. Then again, it might be a respect thing, mightn't it?
I've only got anecdotes, but what people have told me that have been, it's just eerie and devoid of life.
I've
and-
been to Sachsenhausen outside of Berlin. That was so eerie. You're expecting to see ghosts. It's just that eerie. It's like it's got such a strange atmosphere.
Bob said there was no sign of
Yeah,
birds.
no birds sang. The grass didn't grow properly. It was... Oh, it was
Spell
mad.
Auschwitz.
AUSCHWITZ, I think.
That would fit in with this theory as well, wouldn't it? Because there's such bad energy, the grass isn't growing properly. The birds don't want to be near it.
Yeah.
You know, is there some sort of vibe coming off it?
Maybe.
I mean, because you'd argue those are the places of greatest suffering that humanity's ever had, wouldn't you?
Pretty dark, innit?
Yeah, I can't think of anything worse off the top of my head than being in a Nazi concentration camp. So you'd be suffering a lot, and the people would be dying all around you. And they wouldn't. It's not like they've got a comedy club. So if you're a Holocaust denier, you probably would say that.
Oh yeah, I think it was a summer camp, didn't they?
They do. They think that they had a swimming pool and everything.
Light entertainment in the evenings.
Light entertainment,
Cabaret.
outdoor picnics, you know.
Ventriloquists.
Yeah, that kind of everything. Crazy. That is an absolutely crazy theory. Ugh.
Anyway, back to the stone tape theory.
Yeah, so that's my take on it. I really like it, but I know you're going to say science, but who's to say?
There is lots of hauntings reported round Auschwitz and Auschwitz town.
Interesting.
Yeah, the town of Auschwitz as well is highly reported.
Interesting.
Because they're surprised that it's still being haunted 70 years later after it.
Ooh.
It's not a surprise if it's true and hauntings are ghosts are. It's the one place you're gonna
But then
fucking
again,
expect it.
The other to counter that point as well, to counter this, you go, well,
You know that.
you'd expect it to be haunted.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. So heightens your imagination for it to.
Yeah, you're more susceptible.
100%.
Suggestive, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the house is
definitely.
creaking. What is it? You know, all the figures on
Dead
the phone.
Jews.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Mm.
You know, it's an hard one. I mean, there's no definitive answer to it. But science would say, well, that's bollocks. Because what it's trying to describe is something that science hasn't measured or can't measure. Or won't, or it's tried and it's not there.
Yeah, need to see some evidence.
Yeah, but as a theory, I actually kind of quite like it.
It's not for me. I'm not feeling it.
Alright, the man with a hole in his stomach and the doctor who licked inside it for science.
Hold on.
And not for any...
Fucking what? Say that again.
The man with a hole in his stomach
Yeah.
and the doctor who licked inside it for science.
You did say licked. Okay.
I certainly did.
I just needed to make sure.
So, Alex St. Martin was an 18-year-old fur trader from Canada who was at a trading post on Mackinac Island in 1822 when a duck hunter accidentally shot him in the stomach at point-blank range.
Point blank! I was trying to shoot a duck.
I think it was probably a misfire.
They're trying to shoot a duck and a guy walks past, maybe, and
Maybe.
oh shit!
Well, I think more than likely he's holding his musket like that and he has a
Being a
misfire.
Mm.
It's 1822.
He's a bad shot, innit?
Muskets don't have safety catches.
I missed the duck and hit the man in the stomach at
point-
point blank range.
Oh, hang on, are we sure this just wasn't Dick Cheney?
Sounds like Dick Cheney. It might have been his great uncle.
Yeah.
Well, he was so close, in fact, that his shirt caught on fire. But a wound of that type at this time is nearly always fatal because it's lead shot.
And they don't have the ability to keep it clean and
Well,
free from infection,
stitch
etc.
up stomach wounds as well, that's
Yeah.
also an issue. Fortunately, or unfortunately, given what was going to happen to him, an army hospital was nearby where one Dr. William Beaumont worked. Remarkably, Beaumont was able to save St. Martin's life, but, and it's a big but, he was left with a hole that went from his outside to his insides. He's left with the hole.
Yeah, nasty.
The shot, as well as blowing off part of his ribs and muscles about the size of a man's hand, went from his side into his stomach, leaving a gaping hole. He was, of course, bled as a treatment.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh.
Back then, the solution to bleeding was often make them bleed more blood. He was actually given drugs, but unfortunately this didn't help given that medicine escaped from his stomach through the wound, which happened with food. Yes, you can't even eat.
No. No, it's not getting to his stomach, it's falling out the hole, isn't it?
It's the size of a man's hand.
You ever
But they
seen
just put some bandages round him.
You ever seen that thing they do with cows where they drill a hole in their stomach?
Yeah. Because
You can see inside it.
I haven't seen where they can see inside it, but they poke a hole sometimes when they've got an abscess or something, or they've got excess air inside them, and
No, I see it's like a big hole and they put like a stopper on it. And they can,
right.
Yeah. And
Right. What they're just looking at what's in their stomach.
yeah.
Grass.
Yeah, I don't know what they did it for, to be honest, but
Weird.
yeah, it's weird.
Couldn't they just put some bandages round this bloke? Keep stuff in for him.
Oh, couldn't they have just stitched his stomach together? Whatever was left of it.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I guess that obviously the medical help was shit back then, wasn't it?
But over the next few weeks, St. Martin healed and food began to stay in, but the wound did not close properly. The edges of his stomach fused to the wound, making a little window directly into his stomach. And at this sight, Beaumont's eyes lit up like a cartoon dog's, turning to dollar signs, possibly. Because digestion at this time was very poorly understood, we didn't know about gastric juices and believed that most of the work digesting the food in the stomach was done by a churning, pounding motion of the stomach itself.
But surely, you know when you're sick and you can feel all the hot acid and stuff,
Yeah.
you'd have an idea, wouldn't you?
You'd think so.
You test the vomit and say, oh look, there's fucking acids in this. I don't know.
How are they going to test it?
Science weren't that great back in the 1800s, though, was it? Let's face it. It only started really coming on in the 1900s.
Late 1800s, yeah.
Yeah. Be talking
They wouldn't even have a word for acid, would they? They'd just be like,
Yeah.
oh, that tasted very...
They knew what acids were, didn't they?
They
Surely.
just burnt my throat!
Oh, that's what you
Hydrochloric acid and all that, they must have known. That point, surely.
I honestly don't know. 1822.
They wouldn't have known what hydrochloric acid. It wouldn't have been named yet, would they? Who would have named it? Until scientists started...
Until you've got the periodic
You had
table.
Newton in the 1700s.
Yeah, but he
coming
was
on.
into alchemy and gravity. This is chemistry. When did chemistry kick off?
Dunno.
I mean, alchemy is chemistry a little bit.
Go on, Pete, research and find out. We found out about acids.
This hole gave the doctor the opportunity to find out what was going on in there. Unfortunately for him, but not for St. Martin, the patient was in no condition to going back to being a fur trader. So Beaumont was able to keep him around by paying him to do all the duties of a common servant, on the condition that he would be allowed to have a dig around in the hole whenever he felt like doing so.
What?
So he's like, I'll pay you. You can be my servant.
Yeah.
Because you can't go back to fur trading. So no one's going to fucking... You're going to die on the street, aren't you?
Yeah.
So be my servant, and I get to have a little poke around in that hole whenever I feel like it.
I thought that's what you said. It's a bit intrusive.
1850s, it's all kind of started to get a bit more
Yeah. Okay.
sciencey and the knowledge of that shit. So yeah, it's still way before that.
Not way.
About 30 years.
Well, Beaumont watched the digestion happen in St. Martin's stomach when he ate, or else let him eat food and then retrieved it later from the hole to see how much digestion had taken place. As well as this, he would place food in mesh and then dip it into St. Martin like a fancy tea bag. He even then had a bit of a lick on the inside of St. Martin's stomach, finding the acid taste wasn't there until it started digesting food.
Oh, God. A lick.
You gotta be pretty fucking brave to do that, aren't you? I wouldn't stick my tongue in another body. Well, not in that respect. Not into an open wound. Not into an open wound.
No.
That's a bit risky for the other guy as well, really, because they might have, like, microbes, but
bacteria on a tongue, especially in the 1820s.
Oh yeah.
Not like dental hygiene was amazing then.
Well, reportedly, the two of them did not get on. A personality clash that probably wasn't helped by one of them.
Kept putting his fucking tongue in his stomach. That's why they didn't get on.
There was that, but
Beaumont... Not you twat, get out!
Beaumont also referred to St. Martin's children as livestock and called him ugly. Well, the relationship
he was ugly, wasn't he? We've got a photograph of him.
Yes. I'm surprised he's got children.
But he had a tasty stomach.
Though ethically a bit iffy, Beaumont did discover that it was gastric juices in the stomach that digested food, and he became known as the father of gastric physiology, although he never did close St. Martin's wound as promised. Beaumont died in 1853. His family allowed his body to decompose before burial, fearing the doctors may dig it up and have a little poke around for themselves. I did a gastric autopsy on the father of gastric physiology, don't you know?
I like the little line at the bottom of that. Is like, it did sound a little bit drastic, but until you remember the licking.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, ain't no fucking spider.
That was particularly disturbing, to be fair.
Yeah. Well, I suppose
all in the name of science.
Yeah, help us progress, isn't it?
You know.
Was it just also a very unusual kink?
I'm getting the feeling that it was. He should have been a character in The Boys.
Yes, well, on that note, let's end the show. I've been Ben. Thank you very much for listening. Don't drink the Vaporade and don't join the cult.
I've been Mike. Thanks for listening. Peace out and the force be with you.
I've been Claire. Keep an open mind, but not so open that it spills out your ears.
And I've been Pete. Everybody have a nice week. Take care.